The planet's surface was jagged and harsh, with jagged rocks jutting out like broken teeth. Pale purple dust swirled in the thin atmosphere, drifting across the research station's reinforced metal walls. It was quiet, too quiet except for the soft hum of the energy shields and the occasional crackle from distant electrical storms. Eli Vance stepped out of the transport pod, squinting under the alien sun. He was lean and muscular, but not in the exaggerated way the aliens often assumed humans would be. Compared to the towering alien engineers around him, he looked fragile. Yet his green eyes glimmered with a calm confidence that no one could ignore. Eli, careful, called Lyra, the mission commander, her 3 arms moving in a precise, careful rhythm as she scanned the rocky terrain. The sensor picked movement ahead. Eli nodded, tightening the strap on his pack. Relax, I've seen worse than rocks. His voice carried a casual confidence that made the aliens around him pause. Most of them had never known a human to step out into the open like this without fear. The research team had been sent to survey a newly discovered cave system. Rumors among alien scientists claimed that the caves contained rare energy crystals, capable of powering entire cities. Eli and his team were tasked with mapping the area and collecting samples, but the planet had other plans. As they approached the entrance, a sudden tremor shook the ground. Dust and small rocks fell from above. Lyra's eyes widened, but Eli barely flinched. He had a habit of assessing danger the moment it appeared and moving calmly. Unlike most humans, he didn't panic. Instead, he scanned the cave opening with his hand hovering over his sidearm. Then, from the shadows, they emerged. The creatures were unlike anything Eli had encountered. 8-legged, with translucent shells and eyes that reflected 1,000 colors, they moved with startling speed. Their claws scraped the rocks, sending sparks flying. The aliens panicked. Screams echoed as their legs stumbled over the uneven terrain. But Eli moved differently. He darted forward, dodging the first creature with a swift roll and hitting a rock to redirect its attack. His human reflexes, honed from years of training on Earth, allowed him to anticipate movements faster than the alien brain could process. One of the creatures lunged at him from above. Eli caught its claw with one hand, spun his body and slammed it into the rock wall. The alien hissed, stunned by the unexpected force. Around him, the other humans were either frozen or trying to flee. The aliens, relying on strength and brute force, struggled to keep up. By the time the skirmish ended, Eli was bruised, bleeding, and exhausted, but alive. The creatures retreated into the shadows as if they had never meant to stay. Eli's team gathered around him, staring with awe and fear. You survived that?" Lyra whispered. She didn't hide the mixture of admiration and disbelief in her voice. Eli just shrugged, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. "Like I said, I've seen worse." It wasn't long before the transport pod arrived to take him back to the research station. As they flew across the jagged landscape, Eli allowed himself a brief moment to look out at the alien world. It was beautiful in a harsh way, dangerous yet alive. He liked worlds like this. They tested humans in ways Earth never could. Back at the station, the aliens immediately placed Eli in the medical bay. The room was stark, with tall, cylindrical machines humming softly and glowing with an eerie blue light. The chief alien doctor, a tall figure with shimmering scales and 6 arms, began the examination. "Human condition is severe," the doctor said, moving his limbs in a precise rhythm as he adjusted the scanners. "I am scanning bones now." Eli lay on the table, muscles aching and ribs sore. He had felt pain before, but something about this scanner, its hum, the precision, the cold efficiency, made him pause for a moment. The scan concluded. The alien doctor's compound eyes widened as he looked at the readout. 17 bones broken, he reported in a calm, factual voice. Multiple fractures in limbs, ribcage compromised, cranial impact detected. Eli smiled faintly. "That's it?" His voice was steady, almost amused. The doctor froze. No human had ever survived so much trauma without severe mental collapse. Humans were considered fragile creatures by the alien race, meant to be observed but never truly tested in extremes. Yet here lay Eli, alert, aware, and even smiling after enduring injuries that would have incapacitated most beings. You are alive. And functional," the doctor stammered, his multiple arms flailing slightly as he checked the readout again. "This is abnormal. Human endurance should not permit." Eli rolled his eyes slightly, ignoring the amazement. Guess you aliens underestimated us. The doctor blinked. Recalculating thresholds. He pressed buttons, sending holographic images of broken bones, cracked joints, and bruised muscles spinning in midair. Eli followed along, noting every detail with quiet interest. The nurse, a smaller alien with soft green scales, approached. "It is unusual," she said softly. "But his vitality remains high. Human regenerative response seems superior to expectation." Eli chuckled. "We don't give up easily. That's kind of our thing." The doctor continued the examination, but his confidence had shifted. He treated Eli not merely as a patient, but as a subject that defied science. Every scan, every measurement confirmed that humans could endure far more than the aliens had ever believed. "You must rest," the nurse said, adjusting a bandage over his ribs. "Further activity may compromise health." Eli shook his head. "Rest can wait. We've got work to do. Things don't fix themselves while I sleep." The alien doctor's compound eyes narrowed. "Such determination is remarkable. No other species would even attempt movement with this level of injury." Eli grinned. "Humans aren't like other species. We push limits because we can and because we have to." Hours passed, and despite his broken bones, Eli began moving gently, testing his strength. The aliens watched in awe as he manipulated small equipment, adjusted sensors, and even assisted in minor repairs around the medical bay. He moved carefully but with the confidence of someone who had survived impossible odds. Later, as the room quieted, Eli gazed out of the viewport at the alien city beyond. Towering spires flowing with strange energy currents rose in the distance. He could see alien engineers moving along the platforms following rigid schedules. To him, the city seemed almost alive, a challenge waiting to be understood and maybe conquered. "You're too reckless, human," Lyra said, standing nearby. Her 3 arms crossed. "Do you realize what you went through today?" Eli looked at her and smiled faintly. "Yeah, I broke 17 bones. I still stand. What else do you need me to prove?" The nurse approached again, this time with a softer tone. "Why do you not fear injury? Why do you not succumb to pain?" Eli shrugged. "Pain is temporary. Survival is permanent. And humans, we don't give up." The aliens were silent. It wasn't just the physical endurance. They were beginning to notice something far more dangerous to underestimate. Human spirit. By nightfall, Eli was allowed to rest. But he didn't sleep. Instead, he lay awake on the narrow medical cot, thinking about the planet, the mission, and the creatures they had faced. His mind was alive with strategies, possibilities, and ideas for exploration. Injuries were nothing compared to the challenge ahead. For the aliens observing him, it was a lesson in humility. Their medical readouts, their calculations, their theories, all were irrelevant against the unpredictable, relentless force of human resolve. Eli closed his eyes briefly, not in weakness but in preparation. Tomorrow he would return to the surface. Tomorrow he would push limits again. Because for humans like him, survival wasn't just about endurance, it was about proving that, no matter the odds, humanity would adapt, endure, and ultimately thrive. The hum of the machines faded, leaving only the quiet whisper of the alien night outside. Eli smiled faintly once more. 17 broken bones, and yet he grinned. That was all part of being human. The next morning, the medical bay was already alive with activity. Alien machines hummed softly, scanning the environment, adjusting temperatures, and monitoring vital signs. Eli sat upright on the cot, feeling every ache, every twinge of soreness from the previous day. Most humans would have been confined to strict rest, but Eli was far from ordinary. The alien doctor, still clearly fascinated, approached. "Human, I must insist you need rest. Your bones are healing, but movement may cause further damage." Eli stretched lightly, ignoring the discomfort. "I know my limits," he said with a calm grin. "But I also know what we need to do next. We can't just sit here." The doctor's compound eyes flickered. "Humans, you speak of work when severely injured?" "This is illogical," Eli shrugged. "Maybe, but humans aren't always logical. We survive by doing what others won't." A small green-scaled nurse approached, holding a tray with nutrient gels. "He is unusual," she whispered to the doctor. "Even with these injuries, his recovery rate is far higher than expected. We should observe, not restrict him." Eli caught her glance and offered a faint smile. "Thanks. I like people who let me do my own thing." With the doctor's hesitant approval, Eli began moving carefully around the medical bay. His steps were cautious, but his movements precise. He tested his arms and legs, flexing muscles that a normal human in his condition would barely be able to lift. Every movement caused sharp reminders of the previous day's injuries, but Eli ignored them. To him, discomfort was temporary. Determination was permanent. The aliens observing were both impressed and confused. Their species relied on structured recovery, rigid protocols, precise rest schedules, and careful monitoring. Humans, by contrast, seemed almost reckless, yet achieved results beyond their calculations. Eli approached a workstation, examining alien equipment with quick, efficient gestures. He adjusted sensors, ran scans, and even repaired minor glitches. The aliens around him watched in awe. No other human had ever interacted with their technology so quickly, especially in such a weakened state. "Human," one of the alien technicians finally asked, "how do you endure this? Your body is severely compromised. Others would not function." Eli looked up, grinning faintly. "Endurance isn't just about bones or muscles. It's about mindset. Humans don't give up because we can't. We give up only when it's impossible to continue, and so far nothing's impossible." The technician paused. "It is remarkable." Hours passed. Eli tested himself further, carefully performing exercises the alien doctors considered unsafe. He lifted small weights, flexed fractured limbs, and even practiced movement drills. Each time he pushed a little further, always cautious but always exceeding alien expectations. By afternoon, the alien doctor approached once again, holding a glowing tablet.
"Human, your recovery is anomalous."
"Your bones are mending faster than projected. Your vital signs are stable. You recover beyond expectations." Eli leaned against the wall, ignoring the sharp ache in his ribs. "That's humans for you. We adapt, we endure, and we keep moving forward. Guess you aliens didn't count on that, huh?" The doctor's multiple arms gestured nervously. "Our calculations failed. Your species is extraordinary in ways we did not predict." It wasn't just physical recovery that fascinated the aliens. It was the human spirit, the unwavering resolve that refused to be broken. Eli spent the rest of the day helping the station staff, showing small improvements to equipment, organizing supply units, and even assisting injured alien engineers. His determination was quiet but unstoppable. Later, Lyra approached him, concern etched in her face. "Eli, I've never seen anyone push this hard after such injuries. You could worsen your condition. Why are you doing this?" Eli looked at her calmly. "Because survival isn't just sitting back and waiting. We adapt, we recover, and we keep moving. That's what humans do. We don't wait for luck or chance, we act." She shook her head slowly, still unsure how to interpret his words. "You're reckless. Or maybe I'm realistic," Eli replied, a faint smile on his face. "The universe doesn't wait for the cautious." As the day progressed, Eli began interacting with the alien medical staff more directly. He asked questions about their technology, their species biology, and even the environment outside. The aliens, at first hesitant, began to respond. They were scientists, after all, curious, precise, and logical. Yet Eli's curiosity was different. He wasn't just observing. He was thinking, connecting, and finding ways to improve efficiency. One nurse, the green-scaled one who had first spoken in his favor, approached him cautiously. "Human, and why do you push so hard? Most of your species would succumb to fear or injury, yet you persist. Why?" Eli smiled faintly. "Because humans are built to survive. We've faced worse than this, and every time we learn, we adapt, and we come back stronger. That's our nature. You may think we're fragile, but you're wrong." The nurse looked thoughtful. "It is hard to understand, but seeing you, I feel respect." By evening, the alien doctor had adjusted the treatment protocols. Instead of forcing complete rest, Eli was allowed limited activity, monitoring, light repairs, and strategy exercises. He thrived under this, demonstrating that human recovery was not just physical, but mental. Each action, each small success reinforced his endurance and adaptability. In the quiet of the night, Eli sat by the viewport again, gazing at the alien city beyond. Lights glimmered in strange patterns, and strange vehicles moved along pathways that defied his understanding. Most humans would have been overwhelmed by the alien technology and architecture, but Eli was inspired. Challenges were opportunities. Obstacles were puzzles. And humans, he reminded himself, excelled where others saw danger. The next day, he began testing his limits further. Small exercises became more complex. He climbed structures, practiced emergency drills, and assisted in simulations of hostile encounters. Each activity pushed him slightly beyond what his injuries allowed, yet he succeeded every time. The aliens took note. The medical readouts were astonishing. Not only were his bones mending faster than expected, but his strength and reflexes remained near peak human levels, the nurse whispered again to the doctor. He surpasses all prior expectations. Perhaps humans are underestimated. Eli caught the glance and grinned. You've got that right, he said softly, almost to himself. Then came an unexpected event. The station's sensors detected unusual activity near the cave system Eli had explored the day before. Strange energy fluctuations pulsed across the terrain, and the alien authorities scrambled to analyze the threat. Most aliens panicked, unsure of what to do, but Eli, even with his injuries, felt the pull of duty. Let me handle it, he said calmly to Lyra. I know that terrain. I saw what's out there. We can manage this if we act fast. The aliens hesitated. He was still injured. Yet there was a calm confidence in his posture, in the way he analyzed the readouts. His eyes scanned the terrain images on the monitors with quick comprehension, noting hazards, escape routes, and possible ambush points. This human, he plans with precision, one alien muttered. His thought process is, unlike any species we know. Eli prepared for the mission. Despite broken bones and bruised muscles, he moved with care and precision. Every step was measured, every decision calculated, and yet, there was an unpredictability in his thinking that no alien protocol could anticipate. As he suited up and prepared to leave, he glanced back at the medical team. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Trust humans, we adapt. The nurse smiled softly. I am beginning to understand humans. They endure because they choose to, not because they have no fear, but because they refuse to surrender. Eli's team followed him out, inspired by his courage. The mission ahead was dangerous, but the human leading them showed no sign of hesitation. And as he stepped once more into the alien world, broken but unyielding, one truth became undeniable. Humans were not just survivors, they were a force to be reckoned with. 17 broken bones. And yet the human grinned. That was only the beginning. The alert lights blinked red across the research station. A sudden tremor had rocked the nearby terrain, shaking sensors and triggering alarms. Strange energy readings pulsed from the cave system Eli had explored. Something massive was moving within, something dangerous. Eli stood on the observation deck, scanning the live feed from external drones. His body ached, every muscle protested, every bone reminded him of yesterday's injuries, but his mind was sharp. Humans had a way of focusing under pressure, and he was already formulating a plan. Eli, Lyra called, her voice tight with concern. The Council wants containment protocols initiated. The creature may breach the station. We need to evacuate civilians immediately. Eli shook his head. Evacuation isn't the best first move. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. Panicking will only make things worse. Let me assess and guide the response. The alien council members exchanged nervous glances. Their species relied on brute strength, standard procedures, and predictable logic. A human leading such a crisis was unconventional, to say the least. The first drone feed showed a massive, hulking shape moving through the rocky canyon. Its skin shimmered like fractured crystal, and its claws carved deep grooves in the stone. It emitted a low, rumbling growl, sending vibrations across the landscape. For any alien, the instinct would be to flee or attack en masse, not Eli. He analyzed the creature's movements, patterns, and potential weaknesses. Humans were small and fragile, yes, but they had creativity, intuition, and a willingness to improvise. Team, he called through comms. Don't scatter. Form a perimeter along the canyon edge. We'll guide it away from the station, and we'll use the terrain to our advantage. His voice carried authority, calm and unwavering. Despite their initial skepticism, his team followed orders. Human intuition had a way of inspiring confidence, even among a species that believed itself superior in strength and logic. As the team moved into position, Eli noticed the creature adjusting its stride, reacting to the drone movements. He realized it wasn't mindless, it was intelligent, calculating. He called a quick strategy meeting over comms, outlining a plan. They would use decoys, obstacles, and their environment to direct the creature away from the station while minimizing risk. The aliens were impressed, if secretly worried. They had expected brute force to solve most problems. They had not anticipated that one human, with broken bones and bruises, could orchestrate a tactical operation that outsmarted both nature and instinct. The mission began. Eli, despite his injuries, moved with careful precision. Each step was measured, each action deliberate. He guided humans and alien engineers to set up barriers, tripwires, and sound decoys to manipulate the creature's movements. Small drones flew ahead, projecting lights and sounds. The creature hesitated, curious and cautious. Then came the first real test. One barrier collapsed unexpectedly, causing part of the canyon to give way. Eli was closer than he should have been. The ground beneath him shifted. He stumbled, pain shooting through his fractured ribs and twisted leg. But humans had an extraordinary capacity for recovery under pressure. Eli rolled, landed on his good side, and quickly regained balance. The team froze for a heartbeat. No one had moved so fast under such injury. Eli grinned faintly. "Stay focused. Keep moving. This is nothing we can't handle." He adjusted the drones, repositioned the decoys, and guided the creature into a narrow passage between jagged rocks. The creature hesitated, then forced its way through. The narrow canyon slowed it, limiting its range and movement. Eli breathed through the pain. Every movement was agony, but he didn't stop. Humans had a remarkable ability to endure pain when purpose drove them forward. His mind was clear, his focus unwavering. Suddenly, a rockslide occurred. Massive boulders tumbled toward the team. Lyra shouted, "Eli, get out of there!" Eli acted instantly. He grabbed one of the alien engineers and pulled them behind cover, using his own body to shield them from falling debris. Rocks slammed against his back and shoulders. He felt each impact like a hammer blow, but he gritted his teeth and held firm. The team followed his lead, moving swiftly to safety. When the dust settled, the creature was still advancing. Eli assessed the situation quickly. "We need a distraction," he said. "Something it won't expect." Using his knowledge of the terrain, he directed drones to trigger energy pulses from unstable crystal formations within the canyon. The pulses created bright flashes and loud vibrations. The creature froze, startled by the unpredictable patterns. Then, as Eli had predicted, it changed direction, moving toward a safer zone far from the station. The alien council members watching from their command center were astounded. How did he predict that?" one whispered. "No other species would survive this and still control the outcome." Eli's team guided the creature through the canyon, carefully manipulating its path with obstacles and sound decoys. Every step was dangerous. Every moment tested the limits of human endurance and ingenuity. At one point, a part of the canyon collapsed completely, blocking the creature's path. Eli realized this could trap it permanently. He risked a direct approach, signaling his team to follow him. He climbed over unstable rocks, supporting weaker aliens when necessary, and reached a position where he could direct the creature safely into the trap. His body screamed in protest. Every bone still mending reminded him that he was not invincible. But he didn't stop. Humans had an inner strength the aliens didn't fully understand. Pain was acknowledged but not allowed to control action. Finally, the creature was trapped. It roared, a deep sound that shook the canyon, but it was contained. Eli's team cheered quietly, relieved but exhausted. Eli, meanwhile, leaned against a rock, breathing heavily. Pain radiated through his broken bones, but there was satisfaction in his eyes. "You did it," Lyra said, approaching him carefully. "I don't know how, but you did it." Eli smiled faintly, wincing as he shifted. "We did it. Humans adapt, we endure, and we think." The alien doctor arrived shortly after, scanning Eli's body with concern and awe. 17 broken bones, he said quietly. "And yet, your performance exceeded all predictions. This is unprecedented," Eli shrugged. "Guess humans are tougher than you thought." The doctor's eyes narrowed in curiosity. "It is not just your physical endurance. It is your ability to plan, to anticipate, to lead. Your species is remarkable." Eli smiled faintly. "Thanks. We like to surprise people." As the team returned to the station, Eli's body ached violently, but his mind was alive with possibilities. The aliens had seen a glimpse of human resilience, determination, and adaptability. They had learned that humans were not fragile. They were unpredictable, creative, and unstoppable when faced with danger. Later, back in the medical bay, Eli allowed himself to rest. The nurse approached, tending to his injuries. You push too far, she said softly. Even your species has limits. Eli shook his head. Limits are just numbers on a chart. They mean nothing if you refuse to accept them. Humans don't quit because something hurts. We quit only when there's no hope left. And there's always hope. The nurse studied him, clearly fascinated. You are extraordinary. Eli simply grinned. That's humans for you. As night fell, Eli lay on the cot thinking about what had happened. He realized the aliens had underestimated humans, not just in strength, but in spirit. The creature had been dangerous, but human ingenuity and courage had turned a potential disaster into a controlled situation. He closed his eyes, but not to sleep. Instead, he mentally reviewed every step of the operation, every decision he had made, every risk he had taken. Humans didn't just endure, they analyzed, they adapted, and they overcame. And somewhere deep in him, Eli felt the quiet thrill of knowing that this was only the beginning. The universe was full of challenges, of dangers no alien could predict, and humans, small but resilient, would meet them head-on. He grinned faintly to himself. 17 bones broken, and yet the human had not only survived, he had triumphed. That was what made humanity extraordinary. Outside, the alien city shimmered under the twin moons, oblivious to the lessons they had learned today. Inside the station, one human had proven that strength was more than muscles, that courage was more than instinct, and that survival depended on willpower, creativity, and unyielding determination. Tomorrow there would be new challenges, new threats, new dangers. But for now, Eli Vance rested, a quiet smile on his face, knowing that humans were capable of more than anyone, not even the aliens, could have imagined. 17 bones broken. And still, the human grinned. That was only the beginning. The research station was alive with tension. The creature from the canyon had been contained, but new anomalies were detected on the planet's surface. Energy fluctuations, seismic tremors, and strange readings indicated that the planet itself might be unstable. Eli's body still ached from previous injuries. Every step was a reminder of broken bones, bruised muscles, and cracked ribs. But his mind was clear, his focus sharp. Humans were capable of enduring pain. But more importantly, they were capable of adapting faster than any alien protocol. The Alien Council convened in the observation hall. We cannot risk another breach, one of them said. The creature may return, and the environment may collapse. Eli stepped forward. We can't just wait. The planet is unpredictable. We need to act now and not just react. There's a way to stabilize the station and manage threats simultaneously. The council murmured, unsure of what the human meant. Their species relied on rules, patterns, and brute strength. Humans, by contrast, thought in unpredictable ways. That unpredictability was what made them dangerous and brilliant. Eli outlined a plan. They would split teams. One would repair the station's energy grids, another would secure the structural integrity, and his own team would monitor the canyon for new activity. The aliens balked at the physical demands of the plan. The human is injured, one protested. He cannot lead this. He should rest. Eli shook his head. I've survived worse. I'll lead. Humans endure. Humans adapt. And humans get results, the council reluctantly agreed. Time was short. The planet was unstable, and delay meant disaster. Eli led the first team to the energy grids. The corridors were narrow, the machinery complex, and the environment unstable. Sparks flew from damaged circuits, and the air smelled of ozone. Aliens hesitated at every step, following rigid instructions. Eli, however, moved instinctively, improvising repairs, rerouting power, and preventing catastrophic overloads. A sudden tremor shook the station. A section of the ceiling collapsed, sending debris crashing toward the team. Eli grabbed one alien engineer, pulling them to safety. Another human teammate fell, and Eli caught them mid-fall, absorbing the impact himself. Every fracture, every sore muscle reminded him of pain, but he ignored it. Humans were built to endure when survival demanded it. Meanwhile, the second team struggled to secure structural supports. Walls cracked, energy conduits sparked, and small tremors threatened to destabilize the entire station. Eli directed them, pointing out weak points and improvising reinforcements. His strategic mind, combined with human creativity, allowed the aliens to act in ways they had never considered. Observe his methods, the alien doctor whispered to the council. He calculates, improvises, and inspires simultaneous action. It is remarkable. He leads despite injury. No other species could. Eli's focus never wavered. Every time a problem arose, he solved it on instinct and observation. Humans, he knew, could endure far beyond what others imagined. Brute strength alone was insufficient. Creativity, adaptability, and sheer determination made humans extraordinary. Suddenly, alarms blared from the canyon. Another creature, or the same one returning, was approaching. Eli assessed the threat quickly. It's coming toward the station again. We can't fight it directly, but we can manipulate its path and contain it safely. Using drones, environmental hazards, and precise timing, Eli devised a trap. The creature would follow decoy signals into a reinforced section of the canyon. He organized his team, issuing commands with calm authority despite his own injuries. The creature appeared, massive and threatening. The aliens froze, uncertain. Eli moved forward, signaling drones to activate and triggering environmental hazards. The creature hesitated, then charged. Eli's calculations were precise. It followed the path he had set, trapped in a corridor too narrow to destroy the station or harm his team. For the aliens observing, it was almost unbelievable. A human, injured and bruised, had orchestrated the containment of a life-threatening creature without endangering anyone. Humans, fragile in appearance, were demonstrating unparalleled courage and intellect. When the threat was finally contained, Eli's team collapsed from exhaustion. He himself stumbled but remained upright. The alien doctor approached, scanning him carefully. 17 bones, and yet your actions saved lives and infrastructure beyond expectation. This human is extraordinary. Eli grinned faintly, ignoring the pain. That's humans for you. Lyra approached, eyes wide with admiration. I've never seen anyone do what you just did. Even fully healthy aliens would struggle to manage this. Eli shook his head. It's not just about strength or size. It's about seeing solutions, taking risks, and refusing to quit. Humans survive because we have to, and we think when others panic. The Alien Council nodded slowly, realization dawning. Their calculations, their theories about human fragility were wrong. Humans were not just capable, they were formidable in ways the aliens had underestimated. As night fell, the station stabilized. The energy grids hummed steadily, the structural supports held, and the canyon threat was neutralized. Eli, exhausted but alert, surveyed the station. Humans were small, yes, and often underestimated, but their resilience, intelligence, and courage were unmatched. He looked at the alien doctor, who gave a solemn nod of respect. You have taught us something important today. Human endurance is beyond expectations. Your species is more capable than we imagined. Eli smiled faintly. I told you, never underestimate humans. Outside, the alien city glimmered under the twin moons. Inside, one human had proven that courage, adaptability, and willpower could overcome even the most dangerous challenges. And for the first time, the aliens fully recognized that humans were more than fragile creatures. They were partners, survivors, and warriors of spirit. 17 bones broken, and yet the human had triumphed. That was humanity. The day after the crisis, the station was quiet but alive with activity. Repairs were ongoing, equipment tested, and structural assessments completed. Eli moved slowly, his injuries still sharp reminders of the previous days, but he was alert, focused, and ready. The alien doctor approached him with a tablet in hand. Human, our final assessment. 17 bones broken. Vital signs stabilized. Performance in crisis. Unparalleled. This data will be presented across our scientific networks. Your species is remarkable, Eli smirked. I'm just doing what humans do. Adapt, endure, and keep moving forward. The aliens looked at him with newfound respect. Previously, humans were viewed as fragile observers. Creatures meant to study and protect, not to lead. But Eli had shattered every expectation. Humans were resilient, intelligent, and daring. They were capable of facing unimaginable dangers and emerging victorious. The nurse approached him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Your actions have changed how we see humans. You inspire confidence and respect. We underestimated your species, until now. Eli nodded, wincing slightly as a sharp pain reminded him of his fractures. That's humans. We're small, maybe, but we push beyond limits, survive where others fail, and always find a way. Word spread quickly throughout the station. Human courage, creativity, and endurance became a topic of admiration. Alien engineers sought advice from humans. Scientists observed them more closely, noting their unique resilience and ingenuity. Eli's actions had forged a new understanding. Humans were not to be underestimated. Eli, meanwhile, spent the day assisting in repairs, guiding teams, and analyzing the planet's energy anomalies. His broken bones were still healing, but he refused to slow down. Humans had a habit of working through pain, and he led by example. By evening, Lyra approached him. "Eli, your actions saved lives, the station, and our understanding of humans. You've earned more than respect. You've earned trust and partnership." Eli smiled faintly. "Trust and partnership are earned, yes. Humans prove themselves not by claiming strength, but by surviving, adapting, and refusing to quit. That's how we do it." The Alien Council called a formal meeting. Eli was invited to speak, not as a subordinate, but as a respected member of the station's leadership. He stood before them, still recovering but composed. "My species survives not because we are strongest," he said, "but because we endure, we learn, and we act. Strength is not measured by bones or size alone. It's measured by courage, creativity, and the will to survive. We face danger, not with fear, but with determination, and we succeed, even when the odds are against us." The council members listened, impressed. They had underestimated humans, but now they understood. Humans were more than resilient. They were remarkable problem solvers, leaders in crisis, and examples of courage under pressure. In the days that followed, Eli continued to mentor alien engineers, assist with scientific experiments, and help train both humans and aliens for future expeditions. The station's protocols changed. New strategies incorporated human methods of adaptation and improvisation. Eli's legend grew quietly but firmly. The story of 17 broken bones, of survival against impossible odds, of human ingenuity and courage, spread through the station. He became a symbol, not of reckless bravery, but of human resilience, intellect, and indomitable spirit. One evening, as the twin moons reflected on the station's metallic surfaces, Eli sat in the medical bay. The alien doctor approached, scanning him again. 17 bones broken, and yet you function better than expected. Your species has rewritten